Okay, everybody, now comes the magic. Now it's up to the Merlin pyATS combination to set up a job to talk to the network and get that version information, bring it back as JavaScript object notation, and then save the records into the database. So there's a lot of copy paste here. I'm going to just go over the copy paste with some replacements. I'd love to write it from scratch for you, but there's a lot of code and I hate to get anything wrong. Let me first make sure that okay, so my VPN is established. Let's proceed. So what I'm going to do is turn on the magnifier, and where we're going to go is into the code, wherever that went. And so we're going to move out of our models here. We're going to come back to the model, but for right now we don't need it. So we're going to have two places. There's the populate database, that is every command that I'll retrofit, but I'm going to make the individual, let's call it micro function. And what we're going to do is just take the show version, and now there's two files, and we'll look at these files. So I'm going to copy paste these and rename them. Show inventory, and now this is our pyATS job file. Remember, we're trying to run a pyATS job, not just run a Python script. Now the pyATS job is like a wrapper for the Python script itself. So in the job file, I like to leave myself some cookie crumbs so that this is the command to run the job. And right, we're going to update that to show inventory. And then it calls our testbed file and our testbed. So we're importing operating system, we're importing the testbed load from Genie, the pyATS framework, and we're defining the main runtime. And if there's a testbed, right, we have to join the testbed, otherwise use the one provided at runtime, right? And then the testbed is the path, and then the runtime task is the script, and then right here I have to update the name of this script that we're running to be the new show inventory py. So it hands off to the inventory py file that we're going to make unique next. Okay, so there's a bit of stuff here that we import. I probably don't need some of this YAML and things like that because I'm not working with it, but it's there anyway. Now, the important thing for this exercise is this general functionality's parse show command function, because we're parsing a show command, as well as the model. We need to bring in our model, right? So we need to update this to show inventory. And then what we're doing is we're connecting to the test beds and learn those host names as true. And for each device in testbed, and it's only one device, what we're going to do is self-parsed show inventory, and let me update the comment. Self-parse equals what? Equals the parse show command function. And let me show you this. It's in my general functionalities file, and what I'm doing is I am doing basically this: device, parse, and then the command name. If it fails, throw an error that it didn't parse it correctly. Okay, so what I need to do then is in that parse show command function, what we're feeding it is actually show inventory. This is the CLI command. So as of here, if it's not none, this variable holds the JSON. So now let's make it work for our logic. Now let's get rid of this if statement. This is a, I'm going to assume that show inventory is the same on NXOS or iOS XE. If it proves to be otherwise, I will return and add this logic. But what we need to do now is set a new variable, which is going to be called, show inventory lowercase, just to differentiate it. Inventory. And then what we're going to do is, because that is calling the method of show inventory, and we'll come back to filling it in, we are going to use the .save. And that's it. That saves that record into the database. So let's get rid of this if statement. And So how do we map this in? Well, we need to go to our model. So let me flush this out. Now we know we have timestamp. Oh, that is a mistake there. I'm going to fix that mistake. This dot dot. Where did I get this from? Show version. Yeah, let me fix this real quick. I like to fix errors as I go here. And that shouldn't be dot dot. Okay, just one place. Now what about this one? Is this one wrong too? While we're here, sorry for the diversion, but if I don't fix it now. Okay, it was only in one spot. All right, good. Sorry for the diversion there. So we're back in our show inventory py file here. And what we need to do is fill out, right, so we know we have alias, and I know there's operating system, os equals device.os. Now we need to go and reference our model. So let me try to split the screen here and get the models open here. And we are doing inventory. So we need part, description, PID, serial number. Now we can call them whatever we want. I like to make my life easy and just call them the same thing. And let me put that where I can see it here. So this is going to be, now we have to be careful here. What this is, and this is actually, I need to set up a for loop. Actually, no, I don't, because there's, yes, I do. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. What I need to do is say for, let's say part in and this is name, remember from our JSON. Let me get that up to show you the reference point, because I kind of need that right now, because this is right, I'm looking at the parsed data. So what we need is this. So I need to be in this, so a for loop for each part in that name, right? And this is dealing with JSON, so it needs to be the square brackets. I need to set up the logic here. So tab those in, and I'm going to leave that at the, yeah, and then write at each line. For each part, save that as a row. So now what is our variable, right? These are coming from the device, the outer for loop for device in. But now I need to say part equals, and this is going to be, right, self show version name. Actually, no, this is part, right, excuse me. So part equals part. And then description equals that list, and then part, and then description, the JSON. Okay, and we got to do that again. PID equals part, PID. Very careful. Be very careful when you're doing this. Serial number equals part, serial number. Right, so what I'm putting in the square brackets has to match the JSON. I don't want you to get this wrong. What I'm doing here has to match this structure, but what I'm saying on the left side of the equals, right, when I say part, this word part has to match what's in the model, okay? So that's the left and the right side of the equals. Like, this is wrong. This needs to fully say description. That was a mistake there. Good, I'm glad I went over that. And now PID, and then serial, and we already have timestamp. And I gotta put a comma in here. And I don't have the double. Okay, so now we're going to save it. Now, okay, so does everyone follow so far? JSON to model, model migrate into the database, use pyATS to go get the JSON, and then populate and complete the data inside of the empty shell of the database. I think this is all going to work. Let me save everything here, save everything here. Is everything saved? Let me close all. So now what we're going to do is, yes, there's buttons and all that other stuff, but it's not magic. That has to come with code. And the only code we have right now is the CLI pyATS command. So let's hop back into Ubuntu and stop our server and run this pyATS job. Okay, so let's start this pyATS job. A little hiccup there, but let's start the pyATS job. And again, this is going to connect to the DevNet sandbox and run the show inventory command, parse it with pyATS. The yellow is a good sign. It's just a warning about timestamp, right? It has a naive date time. That's fine. I'm customizing date time because I'm dropping milliseconds. But what this means is that the data is coming into, right? We can see models, fields, init, and it's bringing in the data. So how can we go confirm that that worked? Well, it's easy. In our admin panel, right there it is under show inventory. This was just empty a second ago. Let me turn on the server. Excuse me. And right, so there is 2 different runs with different timestamps of the show inventory. And you can see we have the chassis, the slot, the slot. We could fill this entire database with our entire inventory system. And it's working. It's incredible. And we could look at an individual record, right? And override it. We could, and this is when it was time-stamped. Exactly. Pretty incredible stuff. So we're well on our way to building a an inventory system into Merlin, which is exciting. Show inventory is extremely powerful. Now on a Nexus, if you want the SFP information, right, I'm going to follow up this video with another NXOS command to get SFP serial and inventory information, so we can have like an inventory center. But you're going to see in the next videos, I'm going to work my way through the top of my URLs file and work through each set of URLs. Maybe not in order. I'll probably bounce around in least complex to most complex, which would be the HTML views all the way up to the CSV download buttons and everything in between. So that's going to be the next series of videos. Thanks for watching. Stick around. We'll see you soon.